The last item on our agenda, the last substantive item I've got here, which is the adoption of Silverdale West Derry Flat Industrial Area Structure Plan. I'll again ask Councillor Darby and Councillor Bartley to move and second. Yep. I'll invite, we should have on our line as officers Warren McLennan, Manager of Planning, Peter Vari, Team Leader, both from the Northwestern Islands, and Dave Paul, Principal Planner. Who would like to lead a brief introduction?
Good afternoon, Mr Mayor and Councillors. It's Warren McLennan here. I'll just give a brief introduction to the plan change. First of all, you'll note that it's an industrial area structure plan. So it is about industry, business land of various types, because to the north of it is a significant area of residential, and that's growing all the time, and to the south is the Derry Flat area, which one day will have 60, 70, 80,000 people to the south anyway. So so this is specifically around the business land. So the area is it's a reasonably large area. It's about 600 square metres, but probably about 300 of it is usable because of some of the flooding constraints and some allocation for roading and so on. And it is to be developed. The structure plan shows 3 stages of development of the business land, and that's through to 2048. So the first part is just the northern part, and that's the area that we're looking to, once this is approved, start drafting a plan change to zone the land. So last year we got put the draft area plan, structure plan out for submission, got about 200 submissions received, and spent quite a bit of time going through those submissions and looking to see what improvements we would make. And in particular, we discussed these at length with the political working party, which were councillors Cashmore, Darby, Newman, Walker, and Hills. And there was local board members relating to the various structure plans, and also IMSB member Glenn Wilcox. So we had quite a group who went through these. As a result of the submissions, and particularly as a result of the political reference group, we've made some changes to that draft structure plan. We've been a bit clearer about the staging, so that people know that even though a structure plan is completed, stage 3 will be very much later on in the process. So that's from 2038 to 48, I think it is the third stage. So it's a long time away. We have also put in a bit more explanation around, there is a part of the structure plan in the middle and not far from the North Shore airfield, which we're suggesting it could be heavy industry. Now that's not till a lot later on. I think that's not likely to be zoned till the early 2030s, and we really don't know enough about what business land will be at that stage. What we will do is review that zoning or review that area for zoning before we actually launch into a plan change, and I think that will make some people feel a lot happier. What else? We've also added, particularly as a result of the political reference group, quite a section on climate change and the effects that this development will have, and we've had some quite specific wording from Alec Tong and Matthew Blakey around that, and they've added sections which really foreshadow the fact that in the future there will be more controls that we will be looking to apply, both through reduction of greenhouse and also impact. A slight change, just taking just over a hectare out to follow the new alignment of a supporting growth road, the alignment of Argent Road and Pine Valley Road. So the next steps we have is approved by the
I think we've lost you, Warren. You were going great guns there. We lost you just about 30 seconds ago. I think you're back with us. Are you there, Warren?
So our next...
Yeah, we've lost you, but I don't think you think you've lost us.
No, I don't. You're...
I think you're back with us now, but maybe we won't tempt fate. So if I can get you just to, it's been a very thorough explanation, thank you. But if we can get you to wind it up and just any other key points that you need to make.
Planetary, the next thing.
I'm sorry, Warren. We keep losing you. What I might do, if you can hear me, is get you to ring back in. I presume you're on Skype. Just if there's anything else that you need to add, and meanwhile, I'll just I'll give councillors a chance if they want to make some brief comments. Can you hear what I'm saying, Warren?
Yes.
Yeah, so can I get you to phone back in, please? And meanwhile, I might ask Councillor Darby if he's got any comments that he wants to make as chair of the Planning Committee.
Number?
Yeah, I'll get Sandra to text you
John,
the number.
12.
It's in the invite, I think.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Councillor Darby, is there any comment that you'd like to add? I think it's reasonably straightforward, and I'm assuming that this is a result of a consensus of views of the political working group.
Assure was really long democratic process with the community.
Oh dear, we don't seem to be having much luck here, Chris. We keep losing you. Am
I clear, Mr. Mayor?
Yep. Councillor Cashmore, you have a crack.
Right.
Third time lucky.
If I break up, shut me down. So, councillors, it was a very thorough process. We went through different iterations, and I thank all the councillors and local board members on it. But I'd particularly like to thank the staff, because we were pretty rigorous in our assessment of the different criteria. And the process that was done in the northwest is also repeated in the south as well. So there's been a consistency of approach, a thoroughness of application, and I think I would really like to commend Warren and his team for their the hard work they put in, and also the thoroughness of that work. It was comprehensive, and that's indicated by the submissions that we received. Thanks.
Thanks, and you seem to be accompanied by bongo drums there, Bill. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
No drums here, Mr. Mayor. They must be ringing in your head.
Well, that accounts for the echo, I guess. Thank you. Councillor Greg Sayers, I don't know what that noise is, but it's pretty persistent. I'm not the only one hearing it. No, that's good.
Sounds like a boombox.
Yeah.
Everything else beat along with it.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Greg Sayers, I think you had a question or a comment to make.
Oh, just a comment, Mr. Mayor, because it's inside the Rodney Ward, the area that we're talking about, and it's really just to echo. Bill really said everything I need to say, just in terms of the professionalism, not just of the working party, but I just really wanted to congratulate and compliment the staff. I went along to the open sessions that they had with the public. There was a lot of engagement there, feedback, and has gone into it, and it's all been very professional. So I will certainly be endorsing the recommendation. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. comment here or a question from Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment, basically to thank Warren and the team for a job well done here, and also for those elected members who were involved. Councillor Sayers is right. This is, in his ward, but it's one of those areas that are going to serve, two wards, because the Hibiscus Coast is definitely going to be the beneficiary in terms of what happens in Silverdale West and Derry Flat, particularly as it goes to jobs. So I support the staged approach that's being made here, and the very real prospect that hopefully, unlike some other parts of Silverdale in the past which have had the capacity, the planned capacity for jobs and have turned out quite differently, that will really be able to nail a substantial working base here for the tens of thousands of residents that are here already, and the other ones that are coming real fast. I would just also commend the feedback from some of the iwi groups in terms of their environmental concerns going to this structure plan. This area, even though it's in Derry Flat and Silverdale West, it does feed into a very, very sensitive area ecologically, into the Waiti River and ultimately into Karapiro Bay, and they are significant ecological areas in the Auckland Unitary Plan. So I've read through the various provisos that have been noted here in terms of the future land use and taking account of the new risks of contamination, as well as an opportunity to try and improve the outcomes from moving from farming to this other use. So I'm sure it won't just be the iwi, but certainly the communities up there have a high degree of sensitivity to protecting these environmental areas where this area in particular is going to feed into, and to improving the outcomes from those that have happened with other massive big scale developments, not least of which has been the ones around Akura and the marine reserve around there. So thank you to the people that worked on that, and certainly thank you for the feedback from the iwi in particular in terms of highlighting that environmental concern, which is something that I think will find a lot of community support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wayne Walker.
Sure. I've got a number of issues to raise, Mr. Mayor, and I certainly battled in the various meetings that I attended consistently around the structure plan. The overriding concern I've got is that much of this structure plan is business as usual in terms of our approach. I think the comments around climate change are lip service. So I'll raise a number of issues specifically. In 5.9, it mentions the Hauraki Gulf Marine Park. There is no mention in the structured plan around a significant part of the receiving environment, which is the marine reserve. And there are quite clearly constraints around that. So that is a notable omission, which has been the subject of considerable environment challenge. It should be in there. So I just don't know why it is. I certainly have raised that. There is a mention, it's on page 88, around sediments will need to be managed. Frankly, that's not adequate considering the sensitivity of the marine environment. The other concern that I've got is around wastewater, where all the wastewater from this area will be pumped a colossal distance all the way down the Whangapara Peninsula. So in terms of the way we're managing our wastewater, just in respect of energy, which is probably somewhere between $1 million and $2 million a year to pump the stuff down the peninsula, this is not good for climate action, particularly given that the water is treated to a degree where you could almost drink it. if you've got industrial and commercial facilities that conceivably have water demand, that water should be mined and processed in the areas. So we have an opportunity to do things differently. There is no mention around any water storage that these large industrial buildings, commercial buildings with huge surface areas are going to have. And this is against a background where this structure plan includes 3 floodplains, which will also be significantly impacted by climate change. So I'm bringing those things to the attention of the other councillors. It's disappointing that it is very much business as usual, and I reflect again on a decision by decision basis. We increasingly lock ourselves in to a climate future that is not good. So I just wonder whether the officers want to make any comments on those issues I'm raising, and whether or not it's not still possible to make some changes whereby we lift our game and have an area that embraces the circular economy rather than is dependent on catchments elsewhere and shifting its waste elsewhere.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll just see if Warren McLennan, is he back on the line? If not, I'll go to Peter Fari maybe to answer those. Those were questions around lack of mention of marine reserve, the management of sediments, wastewater and water storage. Are you on the line, Peter, with us?
I am, and I'm going to ask Dave Paul to answer the first question about the effect on the marine reserve, because we've been very careful to ensure that the land we've taken that into account in the planning regime we have. So I'll get Dave to answer the specific question in that regard.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors. If we haven't mentioned the marine reserve, that can easily be added in. We've still got an opportunity to do that. On the other issues around sediment, the Healthy Waters are in the process of preparing a comprehensive stormwater catchment management plan for the whole area. So that uses and looks at current best practice. And on the water storage thing, we've identified in the climate change section that as we go through the plan change process, we need to look at those options in conjunction with Healthy Waters and water care. In terms of the wastewater disposal, we're operating on the best advice that we have from water care. So I'm not quite sure how we can deviate from their professional advice in terms of that service delivery. Thank you.
May I make another comment, Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, I'll just see if Peter's got anything further to add to that.
No, Mr. Mayor, that would be our conclusion. And as Dave said, in terms of climate change, the next step will be a plan change to rezone the first stage of this land. And when we do that, things like how we deal with roof water and whether we require people to have roof tanks for various things will be something we consider as part of that plan change process. So there are still options open to us as we go through that process.
Thank you. Wayne, very briefly in reply.
Sure. The other brief comment I'd make is I am encouraged that in the structure plan there is protection for the stream network, and there is also a buffer to screen the industry commercial from the motorway. So that's great. What I suggest we need to hold firm to is to retain these gains and lock them in, not do what tends to happen in other structure plans where we cave into the developers who say, no, they don't want to do that. And that is effectively how the stream network in Silverdale North has been largely annihilated. So we can do better here. Let's stick to our guns and make sure we do a really good job.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'll put the resolution. and I'll do it on the voice unless people want to call a division. This is to adopt the structure plan and to authorise the manager North Western Island to make minor amendments. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 And
To the contrary, no.
if I can have some concerns noted, that would please me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll note your concern about various aspects of the structure plan. I declare the motion carried. The last item on the agenda is consideration of extraordinary business, and none was notified. So I thank councillors and the IMSB for attending today. It's been quite a long day, and look forward to catching up with you next weekend. Next week. Have a good weekend, and I'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.